with a conversation about what for most Nigerians should be a very special day. The Armed Forces Remembrance Day 2024 is here yet again. A very significant day, not just for men and women of the armed forces, but for Nigerians, as we look back, reflect, and appreciate the efforts, the contributions of all those who have, paid the supreme price to make sure that we are, able to call ourselves Nigerians, and we're able to refer to this territory as a sovereign territory. And it goes beyond just appreciation and remembrance. It's also about reflecting on some of the challenges that our fallen heroes, as well as our veterans, have to deal with today, so we can understand and spotlight it as we make reference to what needs to be done to make life even better for them and for the next generation of members of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Joining us on the program is a veteran who also has been appreciated and needs to be appreciated a lot more in the weeks and years to come. Joining us on the program to discuss this is the head of department, Veteran Health Service, Defense Headquarters, retired Lieutenant Colonel Susan Jonah Dibal. Colonel Dibal is the first Nigerian female executive commissioned officer to be promoted to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. She's also an expert in post-traumatic stress disorder, popularly known as PTSD. As always, Colonel, thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's good to see you. Good morning.
Good to see you too. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
I don't know how to say it. Happy Armed Forces Remembrance Day, or do they say that?
We must be happy.
Right.
Even if there is no happiness, you seek for happiness for yourself.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get down to the brass tacks. This particular day, what does it mean to you as a veteran?
Thank you for that question. Actually, 15th January is a day that if you, as a soldier, has put on this uniform, you remember those that never made it. Especially, I used to tell people, if you have crossed the line of the war, if you have seen your fellow colleague not making it, today is a day that just put them at your mind and say it, rest in peace. Because we weren't better than them that couldn't come back home. It's a day that we remember those that really, really sacrificed for us, those that gave their life, those that felt what they have fallen for is for the country they lived in, the betterment of their family. Today is a day that when you, as a soldier, remember those that are not close to you, because in the career of the army, you could have come as group, and you could have gone to the war as group, but not everybody come back home. And it's not because we are better than them that we are home, it is because that is how the destiny has folded for them. So it is good we remember them, but we should remember them with concern because they left burdens back home.
Speaking of burdens, now the federal government last year in 2023, I think October, we saw the Minister of Defense create a national, what is it called? The National Planning Committee, thank you, for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day that was put together, about 23-man panel for that one. But then apart from, remembering them and keeping them in our minds, and let's not forget there is the living also, people like you. So what is that expectations from the government, to do for even the living veterans and the families of the fallen heroes?
Let me speak for myself. I really, really love this question you have asked. But there are questions that when you ask them, and it's a word that has been said, everybody has heard. All I want to say is that before you do anything, remember that there are people that are left behind. You see, it is not just forming a committee, but it is about understanding that there are people, there are veterans, and apart from these veterans, there are burdens that they left, the widows, the orphans. If we sit today and we said, government should come up with all widows and orphans. I don't think we have that number. So my concern
You're
is...
saying that we don't have a database that can
What
give
I'm
us
trying
a
to
clear
say is that,
picture.
yes, we need a database that an orphan will walk to and check and say, my name is there, so my father died this day.
So there is no all of that put in place.
That is what I, as an individual, want the government to do. Know these people. You have to know them. You don't plan for people you don't know. Get these people on board. Because as a widow, let's say I'm one of them, all she think of every day is that my husband was part of that. And letting widows understand that we are carrying you along. For the Nigerian army, I can speak for that because I've seen it. Schools are paid. Widows are recognized. But I don't understand in other places, in other armed forces. But in the army, I know. But again, the army need to go in totality to look for these widows and orphans and take care of them.
Yeah, just to, to interest our viewers, we're just sharing some of those videos from yesterday's service ahead of today's laying of wreath and other, activities marked for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. You can see the Chief of Defense Staff there, CG Musa, the Senate President, all part of that service, the Chief of Army Staff, alongside some of the top brass from the Nigerian military. But in all sincerity, we've seen so many of the social media posts where disgruntled soldiers have talked about their poor living conditions, even on the battlefield, for instance. And Nigerians have empathized and sympathized with them to say, listen, we're not, I get it. Going into the military is not necessarily about trying to live wealthy, opulent lifestyles because you're putting your life on the line. But there is a bare minimum that needs to be there to guarantee your safety, to guarantee the security of your own family. What is the motivation like when you talk about current service men and women of the armed forces, especially when they cross-pollinate their ideas with veterans like you? I mean, I get that there's a generational difference between what the military used to be back, a couple of decades ago and what it used to be now, especially under civilian rule. So what are the experiences like, and what can you tell us about it?
Actually, you're right. The army I joined as far back as 1986 is not the same of the army I see today. Because as far back as 1986, joining the army is not all about what you get out of it, but what do you give to the system. And then you could see a soldier standing head to toe to say, I'm a soldier. But today, I looked at the army as a place where there are no jobs. Let me find myself there. And it's all about the alert that comes. But I bet you, even with this kind of soldiers, we still have good soldiers who wants his country to be recognized, who want to be part of the system. And when you talk about welfare, my dear, it's all over. It's not just the army. Things are not easy everywhere. But I want a soldier to understand that no one can ever forget them. So it is right time for them to put in their best. As a soldier, no government will turn back to his men. Because without a soldier, the country is not what you think it is. So anytime I found myself in this kind of, I talk to soldiers, I tell them, give out your best. The society may not recognize you, but if you as a soldier give out your best, even you as an individual will understand that you've touched life.
Talking about, not much society can give. Let's talk about the civilians now. In your own thoughts, what do you think civilians should do in order to show support, in order to honor you know, the veterans that are living amongst us. Because while growing up, when we see a retired military or armed force personnel, what we do is we see there is this amazing, like I am in awe of being in your presence.
In society,
exactly.
yeah.
And these people, farmers tend to bring these things to them. That was way back, but I haven't like experienced something like this. So in your own thought, what do you think the civilians should do in order to show appreciation to these people that while we were sleeping, you know, they were out there fighting the battles for us?
That's a beautiful question. But the thing is, I'm sorry, even you that is seated here, how many soldiers today have you met on the way and said, well done for your job? Do you know a soldier does not need anything from anyone but that word of appreciation? You have done it well. If one soldier dropped today with an idea of bad thing doing, the whole world stand on it. But if a soldier did the good one, no one speaks about it. I want the civilians to understand that this man wearing the uniform just want you to appreciate him. Appreciation by good words. These men have tried. Even if there are some that are bad, don't generalize. Try to understand that the man in the uniform is also having a flesh like you as a civilian. If he has erred, the military can never close their eyes about the bad thing he has done. I want the civilians at all time to appreciate a soldier. See, in other worlds, we've been there, even at the airport. In other worlds, you will see people standing for veterans. That would not happen in our own part of the world. And again, as a veteran today, if I travel to, let's say, US, and I tell the man at the border post that I'm a retiree, because we did not incorporate it in our own country, he does not see us as the same veteran of his own country. We don't get that privilege easy, because back home, who has recognized me? Who has beat a drum for me? If we beat a drum that the world hears that these soldiers are good, these are the same Nigerians that were happy that our soldiers have helped Liberia, have helped Sierra Leone, the West African countries. These are the same soldiers. But it's because the society is changing. And definitely with change, you have bad eggs. Does not mean you should generalize that all soldiers are bad. No, let's appreciate the little a soldier does.
And in talking about appreciating soldiers, we have to talk about the reforms that you know are desperately needed in that area. Because just recently, I think a couple of weeks ago, late last year, after the whole unfortunate incident in Tudumbiri in Kaduna, the Chief of Defense Staff was talking about the welfare situation. He said, even as Chief of Defense Staff, if his operational meal allowance is still 1,300, which makes it quite laughable, especially under the current economic climate, that one would be risking himself, his life, for peanuts, basically. What do you think is standing in the way, and what should we do about some of those reforms, especially that are tied to welfare? Because we've seen so many disturbing videos in the fight against Boko Haram. Soldiers complaining, no water to drink, for instance. We've seen some of our men in the battlefield struggling to feed themselves and things like that. Their allowances getting stuck up somewhere and things like that. How fast should we act on some of these gaps before it becomes really counterproductive? Because you don't want, men who have been trained to protect to, go rogue.
Thank you for that question again. Yeah, the welfare of everyone matters a lot, especially the man that digs his trench to sleep in. You see, there is one thing I used to say, and I say it anywhere, anytime. It is because you were not there. You won't understand what these men go through. For me, I was there. I was in the front line for 4 years. And I understand what it takes for a soldier to leave his family to be in the front line. The government knows that. The system knows that. It's just that now you have people on board that want to tell you the way it is. That's why you had that being said. the way it is, because people does not believe that this is how it is with that soldier in the front line. It's getting to a time that a soldier will just tell you that this is how it is. And it is left for the government to sit, put together a reform that can help these men, because these men are giving it all to what they want.
And I guess partly most of the event today is about remembering those fallen heroes, the fate of their families, or the ones that are still alive today. And we can always talk about their pensions, right? Which is still peanuts, to be honest. Let's talk about what message that is sending to those who are currently serving, because I also get a sense that, you know, it's quite demoralizing, especially when we talk to some of the fine young minds that are deciding to leave. And I think it's becoming a trend now. We see young men who are, you know, close to their prime in the Nigerian army just retire and go into politics or go into business because they're trying to protect their future, so to say. Give me an example, give me a sense of what you think this would mean for our future if things go on this particular path.
Actually, if a country neglects his soldier or his veteran, that country is sitting on a chair that could collapse without you knowing that the legs have gone. The reason I'm saying that is that if you carry along the military, yes, there are some that doesn't have the patient want to retire at prime age, but I bet you a good soldier that knows the rudiment of soldier will wait for his 35 years. He stays to wait because he has understood that this is the job he has joined. Like people like us, if I tell people I'm retired, they say, no, madam, you are not. Yes, I joined the army as a young lady that says, this is the job I want. I want to see how I can contribute my quota. That is what the mind of a soldier should be, contributing, either good or bad. My dear, when we talk about retirement benefits, let the army, with the little we even have, we say thank you. If they add more to you, you still say thank you. Because when you turn back and look at other people's way of retirement, the same country, a soldier will say, I'm grateful. And my dear, let me be honest. The system of retirement benefit and the rest, the government is trying. I'm one. Yes, there are pockets of needs, but these needs are needs that need to sit on a desk, on a table, to see how they can reform these things for betterment of the system. And again, you said, you see the vibrant ones. Yes. The jewel we have today, the young men, they don't know what is there in the army. They just feel, I should be there. But I tell every soldier, you took an oath. That oath should remain with you. To see how you ravish around your country and put in your best. I always tell soldiers, don't wait for somebody to hail you, for somebody to say, well done. Have you sit back by yourself and said, I've tried? Praise yourself if no one praise you. The Remembrance Day is there today. Everybody is celebrating. But I want to say it today. Let the government not just remember the fallen heroes, neither think about the veteran, but let the government see how they can put together things for the fallen heroes' family and the veteran who sit far to look what the system is. I was in the church yesterday. See, let us celebrate those that we need to celebrate, not us celebrating ourselves. Because we need to celebrate some people, put them in the front line, and let the world know these are the people you are celebrating.
There seems to be a little bit of that from this part. I mean, you compared Nigeria to other countries of how they treat their people, and we see these things not only, you know, in movies, but we see it on social media, how these people are recognized worldwide. So coming back to Nigeria now, you made mention of things that need to be reformed, need to be at least addressed, to be opted to a point where Nigerians would feel these people are the people that gave their life for us. They served their life. Not only when you're dead, it's when you get celebrated. So as a veteran, what initiative and programs would you suggest the government should put in place? Also that individuals would also help in making sure that the veterans and their families, the families of the fallen heroes also would feel the impact of serving their country?
I've said it. Maybe you didn't get me. Before thinking of any reform, do you know the numbers of widows and orphans? Because you just don't decide on a program without knowing the people you're trying to create programs for.
Start there.
We start there. Let's know these people, these widows, not those that have find themselves in the bench line, in the front line. How about the widow in the village that after the death of her husband, she went back to their root? Have we looked for her? How about the orphans somewhere? Have we looked for them? Our country, Nigeria, need to understand that there are times that people made you to sleep well. When you hear them passes, give a word of appreciation. Because they are there, they are everywhere. I'm a veteran today, working for the Defense Health Maintenance Veteran Week. What does that mean? The system has tried and has put in place that no veteran should walk into a hospital and pay for hospital bill if you have taken your time as a veteran to register. That is another thing. I speak to all my veterans all over today that watches me. Find time to go and register for your medical health. Right. Yes, somebody may tell you that they don't do it well. Have you tried it? Because I speak so well since the time I took over that so many veterans that have passed through this pipeline, the government is trying on their medical health now. It has been there. But today we speak about it because we don't want a veteran who just lie down there and said, the government is not doing anything for me. No, there is a forum for you. Come out, register, and wherever you are in Nigeria, there are state offices. If you walk into a clinic and they tell you there is no drug, sit there and tell them you are a veteran. No one hears the word veteran within the medical sector and closes his eyes, because that is the point. They need medical help, and the government is doing that. So government should do more. Government should create more things that a veteran will come out and say, I was there and I benefited.
All right. And then talking about that recognition that you spoke about, we've seen in so many other societies where heroes have been appreciated to a certain extent. They're immortalized, right? They become a part of the educational material that the next generation would learn about. We've seen some of those recognitions come but fade away. One case in point was when the military recognized the late Colonel Abu Ali, who later, lost his life alongside some of his men in an ambush by Boko Haram insurgents some few years ago, and I can't believe that it's almost close to 10 years now. But you realize that there are people today who don't even remember that it happened less than 7 or 8 years or 9 years ago, right? In which, brings the question, if we can't remember those fallen heroes who died almost like yesterday, what about those that died 10 years ago or 20 years ago? What do we need to do about that to, immortalize their memory so that it becomes a part of our culture? The whole idea around thank you for your service in the United States of America, for instance, or in Lagos, where soldiers used to, I don't know whether it's still a practice today, when they take the bus, the motorway, they don't pay anything. Also a part of an appreciation. I don't know whether it's still operational today, because of the whole economic situation in the country. But what are those little intangible things that we need to do that serves as a form of gratitude and remembrance that we as a society are not forgetful of the sacrifices that these people make, and that the next set of people are willing to make sure that they protect the territorial integrity of this great nation?
Thank you so much for reminding me of Abu Ali. I was there. I was there, and It's a sad moment because it's a young man that says why this country should be that way. He's not a person from a poor home that you think because it's the poverty that is making him doing that. He's from a very comfortable home, but he went and he conquered. Yes, the army keeps memory for all those people. I want the Nigerian community to know that if you take a step to the resource center by ASO, there are historical things about memories for those who have lost their life. But the federal government needs to see how these people are put in strategic places for someone, for a child growing up to grow up and say, so this man gave his life for me. Right. We need to do that. We need to recognize the fallen heroes in another way, not just remembering them today. Putting their pictures somewhere, putting them in our, making them important. Because yes, they were. Back then, you get promoted, you get this. We need to start recognizing even those that are in the front line with the great things they've done. Let history speak for fallen heroes, not we speaking for them. Let someone put it in the history that this man has done this woman. Women too were there. Women too died. Look for how to put them brighter, that people could see young children coming up will understand. Maybe some, like Abu's children were very small. Let's put him somewhere and this child grow and say, so my father was this man. We need to, the history of Nigeria, the historians of Nigeria should go broad to put this man for our children to read about them.
Indeed.
Thank you.
That would be beautiful.
Thank you very much,
so
retired
much.
Colonel Susan Jonah Dibal, retired but not tired, the first female National Female Executive Commissioned Officer to be promoted to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, expert on post-traumatic stress disorder, and the head of the Department Veteran Health Service at the Defense Headquarters. As he said, it's important that veterans get all the help that they need. Registering, as you said, is one of those important things that they should take advantage of so that they get their sort of medical insurance intact. Thank you most kindly, as always. And if someone didn't say it today, we really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you. Say really it and say it and say it all through the day.
Okay.
Let's appreciate them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And of course, to all our veterans out there, this day is especially for you. But as always, whether we remember to say it or not, we do really appreciate everything that you've done for this country and that you continue to do in one way or the other. We'll take a moment's break. Daybreak returns in just a moment with more. Join us again.